because that is crap. Alright, and you can see why. You can see why. Have you ever looked at your appliances? Some of these things can be criminal. Starting with these appliances, space heaters. I got my air fryer in here too. We're going to take a look at that. But today I wanted to kind of go through and show you what kind of amperages that these three different space heaters, or these two different space heaters use with this air fryer. And I was just going to show you my little crappy vacuum too. I mean, it's 10 years old, but I just wanted to see how close that is to its original UL listing. So to start with, we have this Lasco space heater. And this space heater is supposed to be at 120 volts, 60 hertz, 1500 watts. Okay. So I'm going to go over here. Wanted to kind of show you what that looks like. So I have this plug. As you can see here, it's 10x, okay, up to 15 amps. Alright, so this is good up to 15 amps, and the 10x is whatever the amperage is. So when I read these, you're going to see hundreds of amps, which is 10x. Alright, so we're going to plug this in. You always want to plug in appliances or anything with a load not on. Okay, so you want to plug stuff in not on. Okay, so we're going to turn this on from the switch that's made to turn on from right there. Okay, let this run. It's oscillating. It's on the highest setting. Okay, so over here, now that we have that running, we're going to be checking I want to check the voltage output on this setup. Okay, so I'm at 117, 118. Alright. Now I should have showed you beforehand, but we can do that right now. So before, with no load, you can say it 122.6. Okay, and that's the same as in this plug. This is the same circuit. I'll show you that it's the same circuit. Maybe it's a little bit different. 22.6. When I did this earlier, they were exactly the same. 121.1. 121.1. Okay, there you go. See, oh, I wasn't even really showing you. Where was plugged in at? 122.5. 122.4. I don't know why that's changing so much on me. The voltages are going up and down, left and right. Anyways, we have this off now. I'm going to plug this in here. Turn this back on. Get some heat going back in here. Today I'm out here in my shop. And it's one of my crappy desks, but that's okay. Now I'm going to come over here and check this amperage. Like I said, 10x. So at 120, yeah, so it's 12 amps, okay? It's 120 divided by 10. Okay? So it's 10 amps roughly. 12 amps roughly. When I let it run for a little bit longer earlier, it was 11.9 amps. And earlier when I was running these tests, I had 117.8 volts with the load attached. I had 122.4 with no load. Right? So when you calculate that out, 11.9 times 117.8, you got 14, let's just go 1400 watts. Alright, which is from the bottom of this heater 100 watts off when it's plugged in. So if that means anything, it's 100 watts off. Okay, So now I'm going to move over to the next heater. That heater there was ETL listed. And we're going to get into that and see what the difference is. Maybe, I don't know really how much the differences are between ETL or UL listing, but with almost all of these appliances in the United States, you're going to find one of those two listings. And if you don't, you want to find it. You want to find that listing. So this heater doesn't have no fans, no moving parts. This is just a fixed heater, so we have a moving heater and a fixed heater, and different ratings too. This is ETL, this is UL listed. And again, same thing, 1500 watts. All right, 120 volts. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing here. Plug this in here. Come up here, max temperature, max setting. This is literally 3 settings, and it's 3 elements. You'll see them, all 3 of them glow here in a minute. But come up here. This should be about the same as the other one. Okay, a little bit higher. We're at 12.1. You just move the decimal one place for the 10x. So 12.1 there. We're on 12.1. Alright, so I already figured out these calculations for us here. Put my uglies book here to cover that up. But so 12.1, and when I was measuring this one, I was at 118.4 volts. I try to get them at the same time because they correlate. And so it came out 1432.64. Divided that by the original 1500 watts. And it gave me a difference. We came up with 1 minus the 0.955 gives you 0.55 times 100 equals 4.5% off of the total 1500. And then to figure out the difference between them, I took the 118 divided by 120, gave us 0.983. 1 minus 0.983 gave us 0.017. Okay, and then you have to times that by 100 to get your percentage. So 1.7% off. You take the 4.5 minus the 1.7 gives you 2.8% off you with the total listing. Okay, that difference could easily be because of the manufacturer differences in this product, not from UL testing or the laboratory. The one they tested could have been exactly spot on. But this one I have, which isn't brand new, I mean, some of this stuff can change over time. The resistive elements, maybe if they heat up so many times, that changes. I don't know, exactly what that does. Same with this. This could be a little bit low because it's old. I don't know, as they age, the wattage decreases. But like I said, 3 elements. When you turn it to 1, it just goes to 1 element. So this is really straightforward, and again, it's still we're within 3% off a UL listing on both of these 2 space heaters. Pretty much, they're roughly the same. We're pretty much doing the same thing. So last but least, I want to talk about this air fryer. This air fryer here is listed for 1700 watts. All right. And that was an ETL listing. Alright, so let's plug her in and see what happens there. Oh, first off, so I had this in the kitchen plugged into a regular outlet, right? And my wife decided she wanted to plug in some plants and stuff there. And it's not really all that safe anyways, because also on the same outlet I plug in my coffee maker. Now you can't plug this in a coffee maker on a 20 amp circuit. But anyway, and she also plugs her plants into that same exact outlet. Anyway, she bought this and put this on there. And I just went to go pull this out. This has a UL listing on it also. And if you look into here, it says it's good for 1875 watts at 125 volts. Okay, so this is 1700 watts. This should be good for this, right? Wrong, because each one of these outlets is not good for that amperage. They're good for 12 amps, like the code specifies. So when you go to the code, it's talking about, continuous and non-continuous loads, 125%, okay? And then, but when you go to here, it specifies maximum cord and plug connected to receptacle, okay? You're looking at a 15 or 20 amp circuit on a 15 amp outlet. Should only go to 12 amps. So if it's tested to that specification, each one of these plugs should only go to 12 amps, okay? And we're gonna, I haven't been able to get it out yet. I haven't even tried. I wanted to show you guys how fucking jammed up it was in here. And excuse my language, I didn't mean to curse, but this is some crap. Oh, now look at that. Look at that. I'm happy I did this. I took this thing and unplugged it and came out here to look at it, because that eventually, see, it was burning up there. That thing was getting steaming hot. That was eventually going to cause a fire or an issue in my house. I guarantee it. I guarantee that was going to cause an issue very soon. So, alright, well, we got that unplugged. So let's test it out. Let's see what we got here. Alright, so we got the air fryer here. Alright, we're just going to turn it on like any old setting here. This on air, I figured air fryer modes are probably the most, because you got the fan and everything else going all at once. Alright, so that's going. Let me take the amperage on here. Alright, so you're at 14.4 amps, somewhere in there. Let's go down and figure out what I figured out, what I said it was earlier. Alright, so I guess after running for a little bit, it jumps down to 14.2. We can see that, it's not really creeping down there right now. Yeah, see, there it goes. It's getting down there. So, 14.2 amps, 117.1 volts I got on this. A little bit even lower, because more amperage, more load, less voltage, more voltage drop. And so doing 117 times 14.2, I came up with 1661.4 watts. Divided that up, came out with 0.98. The minus 1 gave me 0.02 times by 100 gave me 2%. Alright, I did the same thing for the voltage difference. Okay, it came up with the same exact result, 2%. So they canceled each other out. The voltage difference and the amperage difference canceled each other out. This device here is perfectly the UL listing, or not the UL listing, but the ETL listing on this is exactly right when you put it on air fryer mode. Alright, and my issue with all of this is that this, you're only allowed to have 12 amps on a 15 amp outlet, and then it goes like any cord and plug not fastened in place. That's any equipment, 80% of the branch circuit amperage rating. So you definitely can't go on a 15 amp outlet, even though you might not consider this continuous. You still can't go on a 15 amp outlet. I know it's 14.2, but it's not that 80% or 125% more than this. 14.2. You can't go on a 15. You can't go on a 20 amp breaker with it. How much of a fire hazard is this? This being a standard plug, with it not being turned the other way, being plugged into 15 amp outlets, like that's burning up, okay? How much of a fire hazard is that? Because from the NEC stating that these 15 amp outlets were only rated to go on, to have 12 amps on them. Alright, so 12 amps per outlet. Okay, so these are dual outlets, right? So you could have 12, you could have 12 up here, you could have 12 down here. Well, actually, this is a 20 amp. This is a 15. So you could have 12 up here and 12 down here, right? And on a 20, I think the chart specified, I think it was 16 amps. So you could have 16 here and 16 there, right? But my point in case is that this cord, this plug should have the flat blade, the blade that goes the other way on it, because that is crap. Alright, and you can see why. You can see why. And I didn't even mean to do that. This was not planned. That was in my kitchen just like that. And I just happened to come across it. Alright. So that's what I have for that. And I just wanted to go back through another UL listing. I have this old vacuum. And it says 8.3 amps here. Alright, at 120 volts. And that's a UL listing on this. I wanted to see what that UL listing is at now. I wanted to see how close it is now.
I'm not going to make you guys listen to this vacuum. That's way
Right?
too loud. So
Now,
I decided to cut it out of the video. So don't watch my voice moving in this part of the video. Anyways, we got the vacuum on now. We're watching that voltage creep on down. And it comes down and settles out like 8.8 or so on this vacuum from the original 8.3, which is pretty good for a 10-year-old vacuum, which is what usually happens to most motors.
8.3 to 8.7 for an old vacuum, where motors do the opposite of probably what these heaters do. They creep up in amperage as the motor ages. They create less resistance. I'm right about that. So it would be creating less resistance. So the bearings and stuff all start to go in there. So anyways, that's what I have for my setup here. That's what I kind of wanted to show you for today. I wanted to show you that this is crap. And I don't understand how manufacturers get away, especially with this. You know what I mean? I believe that both of these were higher than 12 amps as well when they were new. I want to say that they were both at 12.5 with the UL listing. You know, and they're definitely, they definitely probably were. These are older. They are not brand new. So, and that seems like as they age, they kind of, the load on those decrease. As the elements go, they don't draw as much. They become more resistive. And so, that's what I have to say about all this today. Alright, well, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.